HCGChica. Welcome to episode 12 now of HCG interviews, people who have successfully gone through the HCG protocol. I have Elke with me today, and she's actually lost, little wave, she's lost almost 70 pounds with the HCG protocol, and since that time she's gone on to lose an additional like 12 or 13 pounds on her own as she continues her journey with healthy living. So there are so many great things that we have to talk about today. We've already talked. I always do two calls with the people that I interview so that I get their story and know what I want to talk about so that you guys can really benefit. So welcome, Elke.
Hello.
So why don't we just start with kind of just a basic overview, just the basic stats of your HCG journey. Why don't you tell me that?
So I started HCG September 3rd, 2012, at 227.6, and then did a full round, 40-day round, I guess, and I lost 24.2 pounds. Round two, I started January of 2013 at 204.8. And I got down to 184, and I lost 20.8 pounds. And then round three, March 10th, 2013, I started at 187.8, and I ended at 158, and I lost 29.8 pounds. But that was an extended round.
Right,
that was all on my own.
Right, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Cool. And I had kind of done a little math on your 3 rounds just for your average weight loss over the course of the round. So it's like your first round, you had about a 0.6 per day average over the course of it.
That's what
your
it would
second
say.
one, that was your only short round, and that was actually a high average of 0.9. Typically, you do have a higher average when you do shorter rounds, but you said you may have also gained a little more loading because these numbers include loading.
Yeah, these do include loading. I didn't weigh myself before loading. I just weighed myself after load. That's how I usually started out. So I'm pretty sure I would gain like 4 or 5 pounds per load.
Yeah, so that shorter round, she had a higher average. And then for your third round, it was like you had said, we'll talk about it more later, it was an extended round. You had a 0.4 per day average. So, and it's true that the longer you're on it, that your average goes down. And also, as you get thinner, you lose less weight as you get thinner too, so your average will go down for that reason. So just for everyone else out there. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. So how long have you been maintaining your weight loss now?
Well, I ended last year, May 17th, 2013, and I've been maintaining ever since, and I lost weight on my own. Gosh. Let me see. Yeah, I'm down to 145.6 on my own.
That's awesome. So it's really in May, it will be a full year since you did your last round that you've been maintaining and even losing weight.
That'll be a full year.
Full year. And then you also maintained all your weight loss between your rounds as well, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Portion control.
Yeah. So that's great. So I just really liked that because, I think for a lot of women doing this protocol, that is the scary part is like, am I going to be able to keep this off? Because certainly, people gain back weight from any diet they do, so that's why we'll get into the different things that have helped you to do that, So let me see here. Oh, yeah. Now, you did one really long round of HCG. Tell us how long it was and what's your overall feedback on that experience?
I did a 60-day 9 round. Oh, gosh. So, I was on the forums and I was, I heard about people going rogue and going extra long, and they were saying it's not for people that, for your first round, it's once you, have the system down, then you can totally give it a try. So I said, well, why not? I got to 40 days and I was like, okay, this is good. And I kept going. It just gets tiring after, a while. It was definitely worth it. It's a little tiring. It's not for everyone. It's definitely, but about that round. gosh, yeah, tired of the same foods and everything. Everything was very repetitive for me.
Yeah.
But it was all right now. So
Yeah. That's cool. So it was a little tiring, but overall, you did get a little further by staying on a little longer for that round.
I did. It was like you were saying like point 0.4.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I mean, I plateaued for many times in that round. Like
Gotcha.
my weight would just stop, and I would, sitting there, and I would sit down and calculate like, what am I eating? What's going wrong? But sometimes your body is just like, hey, I'm just gonna sit here for a while, and that's that. I didn't really want to like shock my body into losing any more weight. I was just gonna let my body, just go with the weight loss naturally.
That's good.
So it'd be like healthier on my end. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And it's sometimes it's easy to think that way in retrospect, but sometimes like when you're in the middle of like a stall, it's really hard to think that way, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, but
It
you
gets
tried.
frustrating. I admit it gets very frustrating, just
Yeah,
going on the scale and it's like you're still at the same weight, you're still at the same weight, and you're just
yeah,
like, you know what? I'm just gonna let it go. It's
yeah.
gonna eventually drop,
Right.
It's gonna
Exactly. It's
fight
gonna
it's gonna fight me for so long.
right, yeah. And it was worth it because, you got to your goal. So
Yeah.
that's good. So how did you end up finding yourself overweight? What's that story?
So I ended up moving to San Francisco, going to college, being the college student, eating out, pizza, pasta, ramen.
Yeah.
All college students know about ramen.
Yes.
Eggs and just every possible thing that's just bad for you.
Yeah.
I was eating it,
Yeah.
and not only I was in a new city, my friends were like going out, drinking every night. So I mean that totally adds on to it. And it's
Yeah.
like I would catch myself, yeah, out with my friends and then going to a certain district, getting a burrito and eating that like at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
and that's just so
And it was probably
bad.
like this big. No.
Yeah, it was the monster
Yeah,
burritos.
I know those ones.
Yeah, so it's just like, and I was doing that on, 2 times, 3 times like a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so.
And tell me a little bit about, we talked about the feeling of fullness and all that. Like, how did that play into that?
Um, Definitely ate until it hurt.
Yeah.
I think it was like half like I was an emotional eater. Food was like kind of like a comfort for me. And it was just like, well, this is good. I wouldn't think, oh, I'm full, my stomach hurts. I would think, wow, this is good. And I would
Yeah.
just keep, eating and I just wouldn't really care. And I get to the end and I'm like, oh, I'm full.
Yeah.
But it's just like for me, I just wasn't thinking about it. Like at the time, I was just like, oh, I'm full. Everyone gets full. No
Right.
big deal. Time to go to bed,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You're like, the pain will go away in a few hours.
yeah, the pain will totally go away. I'll forget about it.
Yeah.
But totally not the way to go. Not good.
Oh, and so how has your size, your clothing size changed from where you started? You said you started at 227 and
Yeah,
then where you're at
227.
now.
Yeah, yeah. So I started at like size 16 jeans, and I'm down to like size 6,
Awesome.
size 4,
Yeah,
and then like my shirts would be extra large, large, and now I fit in like smalls,
cool.
extra smalls, mediums. It depends on like the brand, but
Right.
drastically, huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And you said you're 5'7.5"?
5'7.5". Yeah. Um, People, when I was losing my weight, people would I noticed people would comment about every 20 pounds. For some reason, I
Oh,
guess it's every 20 pounds,
yeah,
people notice like your weight
yeah.
loss.
And in
Uh,
between that, they don't.
they don't know. They don't know anything.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, some people like thought I was pretty thin at like 170. I'm like, it's my height. I'm
right.
tall. I have long legs.
Right,
And
yeah.
I guess like luckily for me, I like carried my weight pretty well
Yeah, like
overall.
evenly distributed all over or something.
Exactly. So it was like, okay. But I was like, no, guys, I'm like this weight.
You're like, really?
Really, 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 really. Not lying.
I think too sometimes, because I'm only 5'1", but um, when people get used to seeing you a certain way, I think so. Like you're a certain amount overweight, and I think when you lose weight, even if you, like you said, even if you lose some, but you're still overweight, people will think like, oh, well, you're done, aren't you? And you're like, no, I'm not done. But it's just because they're used to seeing you larger.
Exactly.
And they're just not used, so they think like, oh, well, you look fine, you know, but then when you get thinner, they get used to you looking thinner also. So I think it's just perspective, you know.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, it's funny. So you mentioned to me that when you were loading for your rounds, you focused on high fats and not so much the sugar carb thing. Can you tell me why you ended up choosing to do that and how that worked out for you?
Um, I read that that was the best way to load, and I read that like, like just loading up on sugars, horrible. Like when you detox, it's gonna hurt really bad. Even though I was loading up on the fats, my first week was pretty rough, so I couldn't even imagine like what it would be like loading up on just constant amounts of sugar, you know?
Right.
Um, yeah. So I just stuck with the high fats
Good.
because it was just easy.
Tell us a little bit about, you said the first week was often difficult with the detoxing. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was like? What you went through?
Um, I think the first day I was like, okay, I got this. This isn't anything. Second day I was like, oh, I don't feel so good. It was weird. I was getting like kind of chills, if that's
Mm,
like the way you could
yeah.
say. I was
Yeah.
getting chills, just like
Like
a
the
lot, just
flu.
like the flu. And I was like, am I getting sick? Like, what's going on? And it's just like, just I just didn't feel too good. And I was like, oh, I think I'm detoxing. Like,
Mhm.
this isn't good. And I was like, yeah, I'm supposed to feel like this. I've ate a lot of bad things in my day.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, but I feel like a lot of people are just saying, oh, it was much worse when you have sugar. And I'm like, you know what? Mine, like, between a 1 and a 10, I think mine was like a 5. It was
Cool.
tolerable, but,
Yeah.
um, people I read about, they were like, it sounded like an 8 or a 9,
Right.
when you load up on sugar. And I'm like, okay, no, just
Yeah.
stick with my fats.
No, that's
Yeah.
smart. Yeah, I
Hmm.
did my first round. I did load with sugar and all that. You know, I didn't really know any better at that point. And yeah, it was horrible. I would say it was like a 9 on detox because I think right around day 10, I mean, it was so bad. I almost gave up. I mean, I really
Yeah.
did. I was like in a fetal position in my room, just like hoping the feeling would pass. You know, it was just
Yeah. It's a
horrible.
bad feeling.
Yeah, because yeah, I mean, I think you go through sugar and carb withdrawals too. It's like when you
Yeah.
first cut that off.
Hmm.
And I actually have some cool stuff on my site to help people like do some of that detoxing and withdrawals before they start HCG, to minimize it. And I do think that helps because I've done that on a couple rounds. But yeah, so that was good. So and that worked for you because you've been maintaining all your weight loss.
Hmm.
Sometimes that's a concern for people since Dr. Simeon's mentioned that you could have things like donuts or pastries or whatever. Some people feel that like it's a requirement to reset your hypothalamus or to maintain weight loss, but there's been too many of us now who have loaded more clean and had great results long term, you know, for that to be true in
Yeah.
my mind. So it's nice to hear
Hmm.
that. Oh, so why don't you just tell us now a little bit about how you did phase two? Because you did a couple things differently, like you had some shakes and stuff. So tell us how you did that.
So I was pretty random with mine. I would do chicken salad, and I would do strawberries um, as my fruit. I started out with shrimp, but I just didn't like it, and then I kind of got scared because of mercury. For
Yeah.
some, I read about mercury in shrimp, and I was like, oh no,
No,
and it's like you're
it's a good
supposed to
sign.
only have so
Right.
much amount of shrimp per week or something. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to cut the shrimp.
Yeah.
So then I was, on the forums again, and I found shakes, and I found the J-Rob protein shakes, and I was like, oh, so I'll just do that. And I
Mm-hmm.
would do lettuce or just any like spinach, and I would do a fruit, and I would actually blend it all in one because you
Cool.
totally can get away with that. And it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So that worked as well. And it's like I'm like in the city, it's like I'm always like here, here, here. So I can't like sometimes like during that diet, I can't like sit down and make like an intense meal.
All the time.
Sometimes I would eat apples. I would try to actually stay away from apples.
Mm-hmm.
Some people said they would kind of stall on
Mm.
apples.
Yeah.
So I would eat apples like occasionally, but I would never eat them like I guess I'd slice them up and I'd put like a little cinnamon on
Mm-hmm.
them and put them in the oven. And I'd
Mm.
eat that
Cool.
as like as a warm snack for
Yeah.
myself. So yeah.
Interesting. Cool.
Hmm.
So you would have the J-Rob shake
Hmm.
for one of your proteins each day, right? Is that
Yeah. Yep.
every day on the protocol?
Every day. Yeah. And then
Did
I
you do
would
that all
do
3 rounds or? Just
Yeah, I stuck with
cool.
that.
Cool,
You
and
know,
it worked well, obviously.
it worked. Yeah, it worked well. Once you find something that is totally working for you, you just kind of stick with it, and you're like, I'm not trying anything else. This is
Yeah,
okay. This is
yeah.
good.
So you would have that, and you'd blender it up, you said, with the fruit and some like spinach or something.
Yeah, I would
Like
do
a
like
full.
3.5 ounces of the
Cool.
it was either the spinach or the lettuce, and you would just make like a good like on the go protein shake.
Yeah.
And you know, the J Rob protein shakes, they have all types of flavors. They have like vanilla, chocolate, pina colada, strawberry.
Cool. And you
So
would
you can
use
get
any of those?
yeah, you know,
Cool.
but I usually stuck with chocolate because I like
You like
chocolate.
chocolate? Yeah, yeah. Cool. Awesome. So that's yeah, that's really neat. And then in general, you told me that you did keep it pretty simple as far as you didn't eat all kinds of different things each different day, right? You kind of ate the same thing
No,
every day.
it was the same thing every day. It was like just I think I'm just a very like kind of set person in certain ways, and like for that diet, when I found like, okay, this is working for me, this is
Yeah.
what I'm going to use,
Right.
nothing else. I'm not going to try. No, I'm not going to, you know, experiment. I just,
Yeah.
you know, because I don't want it to mess with my losses, you know.
Right. Yeah. I tend to be like you too. I just kind of like I find something that feels comfortable and I just keep eating that same thing. And
Yeah,
I know
because
that doesn't work for everyone because some people they just get so sick of eating the same thing and they're like,
yeah,
I
yeah,
need some recipes. So I try to point them to like Pinterest, which we'll talk about soon. But yeah, I'm kind of like you were. I don't know. I don't really get tired of when I find something I like. I just like it and I keep eating it.
mm-hmm.
So
So
that's
it's
funny.
pretty cool.
You were fairly strict as far as I mean, even though the shakes aren't technically on the protocol or something, but what you chose to do, you stuck with, right? So
Yeah,
you weren't, like you said, you weren't experimenting with other things or
no,
cheating or
I think I didn't experiment because out of just fear
yeah,
of just like stalling, you know, just
yeah,
you know, people are just like, I tried this and I stalled I was like, oh, I don't have time to stall. For
right.
me, it was just like I want to do this diet and I
Hmm.
want to get out of this diet and I want to go into like maintaining for
Yeah,
like life.
yeah,
So I didn't want to like do anything else. The only thing I did was I didn't eat the grissini
gotcha.
breadsticks. I
Right.
actually avoided those. I
Yeah.
didn't
Most
do
people
that.
do too. Yeah, in
Hmm.
general, I think. Yeah, that's good. So how did your P3s go? Tell me all about that.
God, I love P3s.
Really? Cool.
P3 was just
People
like,
either love it or
yeah.
hate it. They do. Like
No,
people love it or they hate it.
I loved it. I was like, you know, I made a menu I made multiple menus. I'm like, this
Hmm.
is what I'm gonna eat. This is what I'm gonna eat.
Yeah.
So my mornings first morning I made egg whites, and then I Swiss cheese, and then I put spinach in there, and yeah, I would just make that for the morning. Put a little Cholula hot sauce on it
Yeah.
for the mornings, and I would have strawberries on the side.
Yeah.
Morning snack would be like almonds. Lunchtime would be a chicken salad. Afternoon snack would be half a grapefruit. Dinner would be just something, you know, some protein and a vegetable. And this was the first time I've ever had actually um, multiple meals throughout the day.
Oh,
I never actually ate breakfast before
gotcha.
this diet.
Yeah.
I would usually start eating about 1 o'clock in the
Yeah.
afternoon,
Hmm.
usually skipping lunch. I
Yeah.
never liked eating early, like in
Right.
the day, even as like a little kid. So this, you know, actually introduced me into like eating throughout the day, and you're just
Yeah.
like it's nice because you're just constantly. I'm
Yeah.
satisfied, you know,
Yeah.
as long as I
Yeah.
eat throughout the day. So
Right. That's
that
cool.
worked for me a lot
That's
as
cool.
well. Hmm.
And so it sounds like with you for phase three, I've definitely noticed that it's very individual, which is why it's people always want to know what exactly should I eat in phase three or how exactly should I introduce foods. And unfortunately, there's really no one size fits all, which
Yeah.
makes it hard. Like I'm trying to write a series right now on P3 for people, and that's the hard part is like I can't actually give specific rules like phase
No, you
two,
can't.
So for you, you actually introduced dairy and nuts right away.
Right away, and it didn't even affect me. You know, I read about people that they've had all natural peanut butter and almond butter and they just skyrocket. I actually tried it my third week the first time and I was fine. It
That's great.
didn't
Yeah.
affect me. And then the second round, I actually tried it the first week of P3 and it didn't bother me
Yeah, so it
at
was
all.
okay.
So yeah,
Did
so I
you
think it just depends
right.
individual.
Yeah. And did you have to do any steak days with your P3s at
No,
all or
no steak days now.
cool.
So
That's
hmm
great. How about you said you're not a big meat eater. Tell us about
no,
that.
not really. I mean, yeah, I was never really a big meat eater. It's like I would have a burrito, but it was usually chicken.
Yeah.
But I'm not really, I don't like red meat. It doesn't like suit me well, like my
Yeah.
stomach. I'm always like irritated.
Yeah.
So I usually stick with chicken or fish.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes I just don't want meat at all, and I'll
Yeah.
just eat tofu or I'll have like a veggie burger, like a
Yeah.
garden burger or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just think that's interesting because you've been maintaining all this time, and more of your diet is focused on the veggies and the dairy and the nuts and stuff, right?
I
And
love
fruit, you said.
vegetables, so I love
Yeah.
vegetables, and I'm not a vegetable. Before that, I was never a vegetable lover. It's just
Yeah.
like everything kind of just shifted
Cool.
after the diet.
Yeah.
Like I think I was telling you, I like ordered Thai food. I'm like, oh hey, can you put like extra green beans? And I would
Yeah.
never say that like
Yeah.
before when I was in college. No, more green beans. Give me meat or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
now it's like I'm asking them for onions and green beans and just,
Cool.
carrots and whatnot. So,
Yeah. So your cravings really changed then, pre and
hmm
post HCG.
yeah.
That's interesting. Cool. We kind of talked about it a little bit, but what's the process of change that you went through with your eating and your relationship with food through this process? What change and process was that?
Uh, Definitely, I was an emotional eater. If anything, I moved to California from New Jersey. I was a long way from home. It's not like it's an hour drive to get home. So,
Right.
and I'm an only child, so I'm just like all about my parents.
Yeah.
So when I would be here, I would get upset, and then it was like I would just automatically like, oh, well, I'll just eat a pizza or I'll eat like food, to make me feel better.
Yeah.
And after like going through the diet and everything, it's just like I can't always turn to food. It's not going to like help me get through whatever issues I'm going through.
Yeah.
So I eat food now because I'm hungry,
Yeah.
not because I'm bored, because I'm actually genuinely starving.
Yeah.
Um, my friends kind of crack up when I'm actually hungry.
Hmm.
I think it was like a few weeks ago, we were waiting in line for some place, dinner reservations, and I was like, guys, I'm hungry. I'm genuinely
Yeah.
starving.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
going to die here. And for me, before, I was like, oh, guys, I'm just hungry because the food tasted good.
Hmm.
But this time it was like, I'm hungry because
My
my
body
stomach
needs
is
it.
growling and it needs like food right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely a big change for me.
That's cool. So what are those main factors now that you focus on in order to eat in a good way that doesn't cause you to gain weight? What are those things that you do?
I do look, I like calorie count. I like to look at the packages. I read everything. I never
Yeah.
read packages before.
Okay.
Um, I want to see what's gosh, what is it? Having,
Oh, it's fine.
the sugar,
Mhm.
protein,
Yeah.
sodium.
Yeah.
Sodium, like, really,
Right.
bloating. Gosh, like,
Right.
too much sodium in the day, and I can definitely tell. Um, just a ton of things, so I calorie count, portion size.
Yeah.
I actually, if I do eat any type of meat, I actually do less meat, more vegetable,
Cool.
more fruit.
Gotcha.
Um, yeah, I used to, when I would eat before, it would be a lot of meat next to like no vegetables,
Yeah.
maybe a fruit, maybe not a fruit.
Yeah.
So it's definitely changed for me
That's cool.
in
How
that
about the
way.
eating out versus home cooked food thing? Has that
Um,
changed?
I cook home like a lot. I love to cook at home
Yeah.
for myself. I feel comfortable doing it because it's just like I know what's in my food.
Yeah.
It's a little tough sometimes going out to eat. You just don't know what they're putting in their food. So
Yeah.
if I do eat out, I usually stick with like Thai brown rice, like,
Yeah.
tofu Peking or,
Yeah.
anything else. And if I do end up going anywhere else, I try to pick the healthiest thing on the menu. I try to stay away from like, I don't like too many carbs, starches in
Yeah.
my food. I usually want something, basic.
Yeah. So since we were talking about that, eating more home cooked foods, realizing what kind of research did you do? Because you talked about learning more about processed food and how it affects your body. And if you want, maybe you could share the story about your aunt as a part of that, because that's important.
Well, during the diet, like I said, it's like, I don't know, 40 days is a long time. And you have a lot of time for yourself besides like your normal work time. So I would sit online and I'm like, processed foods, and it was just like tons and tons of pages. Like, I was talking about aspartame, in sodas and, high, what is it, corn fructose?
Oh yeah, high fructose
Yeah,
corn syrup. Yeah,
the
right.
corn syrup and how it's just in about everything, and
Right.
that's like terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And I read and I saw like a documentary about like I think it deals with that, but the corn, that I forgot what it's called.
GMO corn.
Yeah, and how it's like just made. It's not natural, and
Right.
that's kind of creepy
Yeah,
that
like you
it's like
can't collect seeds.
you
Like
can't
there's no
get
fertile
because
seeds. Like after it goes to seed, like you can't collect the seeds from GMO corn and then like plant it. It's dead.
yeah,
Like it's programmed to die.
exactly.
It's
It's
crazy. Yeah.
that's terrifying, and it's
Yeah.
like we're eating that, we're putting that in our bodies every day, and
Yeah.
then you know, yeah. I
Totally.
think I was talking about like just the process. It's like sometimes you feel like people are trying to get us fat and keep us fat, and get
Mm-hmm.
us a little sick, and we're rushing to the doctors, and
Yeah.
everyone's getting paid except us.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Yeah, so share in line with that story about your aunt. I
Oh,
thought
my
that was
aunt.
so interesting.
So my aunt came up last year after my mom passed away, and so my family's from Jamaica, and it's hot, a lot of home cooked meals, and there's a lot of takeout down there, but you don't get fat down
Yeah,
there. Like you can eat takeout down there every day.
really.
You won't gain weight.
Huh.
My aunt came up and she was with us for like 2 months, and she like gained like 15 to 20 pounds, and she's
Yeah.
like a little lady,
Yeah.
and she's just like, I don't understand how I'm gaining like all this weight.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, it's American food. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like she would have pasta, pizza, Chinese food, and she would just start like gaining and gaining. She's like, oh, I need to go home
Yeah.
before I gain any more weight. I
Yeah.
need to go back. And then
Yeah.
it's like she went back and she like lost all of her weight again.
Yeah.
So you kind of wonder what's going on, with American food
Yeah.
and
And
what's
did
in
you
it.
feel like that? I mean, because sometimes amounts of food could be different, but you said she seems to eat a healthy amount at home too. So it wasn't
Yeah,
amounts.
it wasn't she has like a certain way of eating, and I totally know of it, and
Yeah.
she was eating her normal way and she was just gaining.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't understand. And I was just like,
Oh
I don't know
no.
what to tell you, sorry.
Yeah. And all of a sudden embarrassed that you're in America.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so I just thought that was really interesting because you said it's like, oh, she eats heartily at home and doesn't gain weight because the food is actually like real food without a
Yeah,
weird bunch of weird ingredients. But then
yeah,
here,
yeah. My when my mom or my dad would cook, they a lot of like very simple ingredients. They would never put anything weird in the food,
yeah,
and you would never gain weight. From my parents, when I was living at home, never gained weight.
yeah,
As soon as I moved out and I moved, and I started eating like outside food,
yeah,
yeah, it was like insane.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's kind
Hmm.
of interesting, kind of along with that thought, I was just having a conversation, I think on Facebook with some of the other HCG ladies, and one of them referenced me to an article about Quest bars and how they affect blood sugar and insulin. Because
Hmm.
apparently, I don't know a lot about them, but apparently Quest bars are a big rage because supposedly they're low carb or something, and they have a bunch of fiber, which usually fiber, they say, is not supposed to affect blood sugar and all that stuff, right? So people are
Hmm.
like, oh, this is a healthy low carb bar that I could eat. But like a bunch of people wrote in who did testing on their blood sugar like before and then after eating like a Quest bar, and they were finding like people's blood sugar skyrocketing, which causes a
Oh.
huge release of insulin, right? And then your body stores stuff as fat. And it was really surprising to a lot of people. And we're not talking small amounts of blood sugar rising. Like this was significant enough to be unhealthy, you know? And so they were just making a point that, fiber in a whole food is not the same as a processed fiber that's then added to something. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's not the
Yeah.
same. Even though like, oh, this has 12 grams of fiber, and it's
Yeah.
not really carbs, but
If
it's
you don't
not the
know
same.
if you don't know the ingredient on, whatever you're eating, I
Yeah.
would I would put it back down. You know, I
Yeah.
need to know exactly what I'm putting. If I can't understand this word, like, what is this? Like
Right.
sodium phosphate phalate. I'm like,
Right.
I don't know what that is.
Right.
Like, I'm not sure. Like, I should be putting this in my body.
Yeah, yeah. Like if it's not something you're gonna give to your little child, then you're probably not gonna shouldn't eat it
Pretty
either.
much, you know, it's
Yeah,
like, look at the ingredients.
yeah.
Definitely.
I just thought that was
That's,
such an interesting story about the Quest bars, and
I didn't know about that. The
yeah,
Quest bar.
yeah. I have to look it up. I want to do more research on it, and because it's very interesting. It's like when I eat a kale salad, one of the things I love about it is that I feel exactly the same before I eat it as after. Like, for instance, like sometimes when you eat a meal, you feel like sleepy after, like lethargic. But when I eat a kale salad, it's like I have energy before I eat my salad, and it's like so good. And then after, I feel like my energy level is exactly the same. But I've tried having like a little, just on occasion, I would try one of those bars or something,
Okay.
just because whatever, you're like, oh, maybe this will be okay, and I always don't feel good after. I always feel kind of like,
Yeah. Wow, they have a lot of flavors.
you're looking it up right now. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God.
yeah, I don't
Thanks.
mean to like totally down them or anything, but it's just when we're trying to keep our blood sugar under control.
Especially with people with diabetes.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is that a lot of these people are thinking it's a safe snack when in actuality, it's not the same as whole foods. And that's why I think there is so much more emphasis now on eating real food, you know. Even if the nutrition label looks good, it still may not affect your body this in the same way.
Surprised no one, there hasn't been like a case announced of like a person with diabetes of like
Right.
eating that. And
Right.
like, you know, if they're, I have a family member that's like diabetic, and
Hmm.
if like it spikes the wrong way, they
Right.
can go into like a sugar coma
Yeah.
like instantly. And
Right.
that's like, you know, they have to be rushed to the hospital. So I'm
Right.
surprised I haven't heard anything
I know. Yeah.
pertaining to that, because that's a
It's
big,
it
that would be
is.
bad. That'd be very bad.
Yeah,
So,
I know, totally. Yeah, I just thought that was crazy. Let's talk a little bit now about how you planned in order to be successful, because I think this is a really important thing. This protocol is not easy. So tell me about that. Like, how did you plan in advance to be successful?
um, gosh. Well, I think after P3, well, during like P2 and P3, I would just start making up menus for myself, just recipes of things that I can cook.
Yeah.
And just telling myself, you know what, I'm going to do a lot of cooking. I have to. I can't just, you know, get off the diet and go back to like getting takeout all the time and, you know, being a little lazy. So a lot of cooking for myself. And that's something like, it's hard living alone and cooking for yourself. I love to cook with like with people.
Yeah.
The cooking, when I would go out, just picking the right foods, you know, sticking to drinking the water. But by the time I was done the diet, I was just I like craved water
Cool.
anyway.
Cool.
Um, what else would I do?
I wanted to know about
Uh,
what you had said about making sure that you weren't on phase 2 or phase 3 at difficult times.
oh
I wanted
gosh,
you to tell
yes.
us about that because I think that's a good one.
Yeah. So I planned, you know, when I was said I was going to do this diet, I was looking, I was like, oh, you know, should I do it in September, October, November? And like the first thing that comes to my mind, like after September, is like holidays. It's just holidays, boom, 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 boom. You know,
Yeah.
um, you got Halloween in the city, which is crazy.
Hmm.
You have Turkey Day. You have, you know, Black Friday. You have just the holiday season where
Yeah.
you know, hot chocolate, you
Everybody
know,
just starts baking a lot more just
everyone
and
starts
bringing it
baking a
in.
lot more. Everyone has food, and then
Yeah.
Christmas, and then New Year. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do um, this before the holidays.
Hmm.
I would end because
Yeah.
I knew if I went home, I was gonna eat like crazy.
Yeah.
so so I did P2, P3, and then I went home. And then I just told myself, you know what? It's all about portion control. I can eat that, but I'm just gonna not eat as much as I did before. And it didn't affect my weight. It like, you know, I
Cool.
came back the next month after holidays, and I only gained like my loading, I probably did lose more weight. Because when I you know, weighed myself on round 2 after loading, I was at 204.8 and I ended the last round at 203.4. So I probably lost like, you know, a few pounds there and I just didn't weigh myself.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, so do not do this diet around the holidays. Don't think that you could do it and just not eat that turkey. That, you know, because it's, you know, I just couldn't imagine just sitting there with my little chicken salad and watching everyone eat turkey and all that great stuff. I would just get a little grumpy. So just like, just plan before it, try to finish it up before holidays. And then when you get to holidays, don't go like crazy. Don't, you know, you have to like portion control it. You have, you know, that's on you. You have to tell yourself.
But you plan to even be in phase 4 at that time. You weren't even on phase 3, huh?
Exactly.
Because sometimes people think like, okay, well, I get that I shouldn't be on that in phase 2, but maybe phase 3 will be fine because there's stuff like turkey I can eat, and you know. But so you made it so phase 4 so that you could have a little bit of everything.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to mess up P2 or P3 like at all. I just wanted to do it in my own comfort, and then when P4 hits, then I can start, you know, I could add a little things here and there. And I just figured, you know, it's holidays. I'm not going to be eating cookies every day. I'm not going to be eating turkey every day. You know, I'm going to be home with my family. My parents are cooking, so it's not bad. It's not like I'm eating anything crazy, you know. To be honest, when I was home for that holiday, yeah, I didn't eat out. I actually ate at home a lot, you know.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah, so then in everyday life, then with maintenance in phase 4, your main focus, it sounds like then really is just like on using hunger and just watching amounts more.
Pretty much. Right? Just watch my amounts. And then, you know, I definitely treat myself, but it's not like an all the time treat. It's okay to have a cupcake once in a blue moon.
You like cupcakes.
But yeah, I love cupcakes. Yeah.
That's cool. I'd like to hear a little bit about the foods that you eat in everyday life because it's a little different actually, the foods that you're able to eat without gaining weight. So I just want to hear what's the kind of stuff that you eat in everyday life?
Quinoa. Yeah, I can do bread, you know, make my own sandwiches and everything. Veggie burgers. I did like the pizza, the cauliflower pizza crust, and I made like I just put like light cheese on it and put like light meat sometimes on it. A lot of avocados. I love avocados and goat cheese. Do a little bit of everything. Lots of nuts. Gosh, yeah.
So your body does good with nuts.
Yeah.
Cool.
I do love quinoa though. I can eat a lot of quinoa.
Cool.
And it has a ton of protein in it, which is like great for me.
Right.
Because I don't really sometimes I'm just like I don't want meat, so quinoa it is. So I'll do like a curry quinoa with like a coconut in it.
And as far as dairy stuff, what do you eat dairy wise?
Faya yogurt, mixed with like almonds, fruits.
Oh yeah, that's right. You said you eat a lot of fruit, huh?
Yeah, I love my fruits. Raspberries, blackberries.
Cool.
Yeah, do a lot of that as well. What else do I do? You know, I've experimented with a few things here and there, and I'm just like, oh, this is good. This isn't so good. It's really weird. I've had like my almond butter and my peanut butter, and it's somehow like I don't really like it so much anymore now. It's kind of weird. It was okay during the diet, but now it's like after.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like I really have to like really want it.
Yeah.
But I don't really eat that much anymore. But I definitely stay away from white rice. I don't touch that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I blow it up.
Oh, right. You said there's a couple of things that make you feel really bad that you learned to avoid.
Pasta. Really thick cream. Like I went to the Italian place and I was telling you about it, and it was just like really like I hadn't had pasta in a really long time. I was on P4, and my friend like, oh, let's go out for dinner, and I'm like, oh, sure. And I remember he brought it out. And he's like, oh, do you want Parmesan cheese on it? I'm like, oh no, it's okay. This is fine.
Yeah.
And I like took the first bite, and I was like, oh, this is like
really heavy.
You know, it's really heavy. I'm just like, and I only ate half, and I still felt like pretty bad after. So I just try to avoid pasta.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then the white rice, I avoid that because I don't feel so well after it. Yeah, there's just certain things.
So you notice a difference then because you said you can eat certain breads, but the pasta doesn't feel good.
Pasta doesn't feel good.
And then brown rice feels okay after,
Yeah,
but not white
brown
rice.
rice is fine, but white rice is completely, you know, not so good with me.
Very interesting.
So it's a little strange. But I guess it's everyone's chemistry is different.
Right.
You know, some people can do certain things, some people can't do certain things. So
right. Yeah, so I thought your story was interesting because you sound kind of close to being vegetarian. Like you said, you go days without meat sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And then when you do eat it, it's smaller and
smaller,
and it seems to work very well for you. So I just think, I think it's good that for people to try different things out. Would you have thought that, like initially, like you said, you used to have larger portions of meat and stuff before the diet, and at the time, would you have thought, oh, my body would love like a slightly more vegetarian veggie diet?
No, I would have never believed it. I was like, you're funny. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I love like meat. I love burritos. I love all of that stuff,
Yeah.
I would never have thought that I would, when I'm ordering food out, when I do, I'm asking them, hey, could you give me an extra like cup of vegetables?
Yeah.
Like, they're like, okay,
That's awesome.
People are usually asking for extra meat or like,
or more
other
sour
stuff,
cream.
but I'm completely more sour cream. It's completely opposite. And that's another thing. Like, funny talking about burritos. Yeah, I've had burritos like after the diet, but they know me at my little place, and I'm like, I want vegetarian, no sour cream, and then maybe like guacamole, and it's fine. And I portion it out. Like I actually don't sit there and eat the whole burrito, but I'll like cut it sometimes in 2s or 3s.
Yeah.
And I'll just like put it in tinfoil, put it in the refrigerator, and eat it like one like lunch, a little dinner, and I'll add some fruit with it.
Yeah.
But I break everything down now. I can't eat that much these days. I just get full very easily.
Because you're more in tune with that, huh?
Mm-hmm. Finally.
Cool. Yeah, finally.
Finally. Yeah.
Can you because you said you introduced exercise at some point after HCG. Tell me how that was for you. Like you said, it was a bit of a struggle at first, and also just along with that is getting used to your new body. Like, was it uncomfortable? Tell me about that whole adjustment for you.
So I was absolutely terrified. I never like during each round, I just walked everywhere, but no like cardio or anything, because I didn't want to like stall out my body or anything. But after I did the diet, I would, there's a Pilates place that's near me, and I would read about it, and I would sit there, and I was just like, oh, I don't want to like get judged or anything. So
what were you worried about? Like, what were your fears with that?
Other people looking at me, wondering, oh, what's she doing here? And I wasn't, I was, at 150, like 8. Let me see. Yeah, 158 compared to 227. So my mind was still in 227 mode. I wasn't in 158 mode. Sometimes I still have to remind myself to this day, like, my everything, everything's catching up very slowly. My body's there, but sometimes mentally you're not there. But for some reason I was like, oh, everyone's gonna be looking at me. What's this overweight girl doing here? And one of my friends, just good motivator, told me just to go try something new, try something different. Yeah, I went, and you're gonna struggle in the beginning with any exercise. It's not gonna be easy. I struggled, and then finally I just got used to it, and I love going. I go 3 to 4 times a week, and I do spin 2 times a week, and spin, that was another one. I was just like, oh my god, crazy spin people. But they're just like very motivating. Everyone's there focusing on their own issues. No one's looking at you.
So those fears they weren't real. Like you went there and nobody was looking at you or thinking
no one
anything
was looking
weird.
at me. Yeah, everyone was like focusing on her arms or her thighs and her stomach. Like that's fine. You can. And I was focusing on whatever I needed to focus on. So, if you are afraid to go to the gym or sign up for a class, like don't be. Everyone's there. I don't think people just go to the gym just to sit at the gym. Right. People are there to fix their own issues. So.
Right. That's so true. Cool. That's neat. And you said even when you would go clothing shopping, like you still had to adjust there too, huh?
Yeah, I just automatically go for the largest. Like it's just habit to just go at the rack and automatically pull past the smalls and the mediums and just go for the large.
Yeah.
And I'd have to get like my one friend to smack me on my hand. No, like stop that.
You're little
Or
now.
you're little, and you know, it was. I had this one time. I don't know what store it was in the city, but I needed clothes when you're going through such a weight loss. I actually a lot of my clothes like in the middle. I would just like my friends would give me their clothes that were like you know, like the sizes as I was going down.
Sure.
And finally, when I could buy new clothes, I went to the store and I just picked like stupid me. I picked up like all the larges, and I'm like in the fitting room, and they're just all like this big and
like, why doesn't this look good?
Yeah, I was like, hey, can you replace this? And I just felt so bad. I was just like, oh my God, everything is big in here.
Yeah.
I have to, and she was just like, I'll just replace everything. And I'm like, oh, sorry.
Thanks.
So, yeah.
That's a neat story.
But it was really fun. But it's nice. But still to this day, like, I still grab bigger sizes. I'm like, oh no, I'm not that size. I'm this size.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you put it on, and you're just like swimming in it, and you're just like, wait a minute, okay, this isn't.
Yeah, that's so funny.
My size.
I think it's funny. I kind of had an opposite for some reason. When I got heavy, I still tended to think I was smaller, I guess, because like I would do the opposite when I was heavier. I would always pick out clothes that were too small. Like I'd look at it and think it would fit, and then I'd go try it on, and it was like way too tight. And I'd be like, and like I guess I just didn't have the right perception of. And some women are like that, like they just don't realize like how much weight they've gained or what they look like, or that's for me how it was. You know, I've always tended to pick too small clothes. So weird.
Yeah. So it's pretty nice now. Going and picking up my clothes.
Yeah.
But it's really challenging these days because there's a lot of small, medium girls out there, and you're sometimes smalls and mediums are gone off the rack, and you're like, oh hey, you know, there's always a large.
Right.
You know, when I was at that weight, but now it's like you're just fighting.
Yeah, that's like size 7 shoes. There's so many women that wear a size 7 that like
that is totally
that's
true.
Always what goes first, and I'm a size 7, so it's like. Oh.
Yeah, you're fighting with like every like woman.
Like 80% of women, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, like size 7 shoes. Size 7, and I think for me, size 9. There are a lot of size 9 girls out there, so I'm always like fighting for size 9 shoes.
7s and 9s. Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit now about the process. You know, when you did this diet, you mentioned, you know, there's friends and family, of course, that are around, and some may or may not know about the diet, but regardless, can you talk about that as far as, you know, did people respect what you were trying to do? Did they not respect it? What did you have to do in order to take care of yourself?
When it came to family, they were like 100% supportive. When I started the diet, my mom was like, you know, she wanted to know about it. She was a nurse. So she was like, oh, this is fine. Just be careful. Make sure you're getting the right nutrients and everything. So family was fine. It was actually my friends that were the issue. Some of my friends were just very supportive, and they're like, you know, let her do it. That's fine.
Yeah.
And then we had some of my friends that were just like, they were going out, you know, those were my friends from high school, college, and they were just like wanting to go out all the time. And oh, you can have one drink. Oh, you can have a burrito. I'm like, no, listen, I'm on a strict diet. I need to like follow this, you know, and they're like, oh, you're no fun. And, you know, oh, you're going to gain it back or something like that. And I'm like, well, that's not nice to say. And you're supposed to be my friend. You're supposed to be supportive of me. Right. So I had to like cut ties with a good amount of friends because of that. And, you know, it's just like, really, you would say that to someone like that's struggling with their weight that, oh, you're going to gain that back. So, you know,
because how could that affect you? Like if you let it affect you and you're in the middle of that, that could be so discouraging, you know?
You know, it actually just made me just work harder at it, you know? Definitely like brought me to like a low point, but I definitely was like, no, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to like stick to it. And it's like, I see those people to this very day, like, you know, we're in the same social circles, and they see me and they're like, wow, she's like totally stuck with it. She's still, you know, and she's lost more after that. And it's just like, you know, and I've had to like talk to some people after them, like, you know, they're like, oh, let's hang out. I'm like, no, you couldn't support me like before. And it's just like, I don't feel comfortable hanging out with you now. It's just like, I would never say that to a friend of mine. If you're going through, you want to lose weight and you want to change your life and you want to be healthier, I'm all for it. I'm not going to sit there and call you every night and say, come out and drink and force you to do this and force you to do that. I'm going to support you. I'm not going to say, oh, you're going to gain it back. I'm not that type of person,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and
So,
that's good because it's true. I think sometimes when people do that, they're thinking about themselves and what they want. They're like, "Oh, I want to hang out with a friend and whatever, have a drink with them," but they're not thinking about you. And that's what a true friend is, someone who thinks about you and what you're trying to achieve. And you like this is a special process you were going through. It's not like life forever, you know?
yeah.
So, it's those times when you do need that support.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I have my friends that were just there from the
Cool.
beginning and
Yeah.
they're still here and it's like,
That's cool.
yay, you know, and
Yeah.
it's funny. One of my friends, she's like really vegetarian, and so it's like so easy to hang out with her because
Yeah.
she's always recommending places all over the city,
Similar.
and she
Yeah.
eats healthy
Cool.
as is, and
Yeah.
you know, just talking to people like in her social circle about
Yeah.
eating healthy tips and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
great. That's
I'm pretty
awesome.
good.
Did you mention to me that you did try exercising on HCG for a brief period? How did that end up feeling?
I before HCG. Actually, after the first round, I did. I
Okay.
signed up for 24/7, and it
Okay.
just didn't work
Yeah.
because that motivation was not there,
Yeah.
and I I was still at that heavy weight
Okay.
where you know when you're sitting in the 200s, it's rough, you
Yeah.
know. So I told myself once I get down to like a comfortable in like the 100s, somewhere like maybe like 160, maybe 170, then I'll start working out because maybe I'll just have less
On you.
weight off of me.
Right.
So I actually did what I did.
Okay, gotcha.
It was hard
So
to like
so
just exercise and have
originally,
so much weight. You
yeah.
know.
So originally you lost a little weight, but it still felt really tiring and heavy to work out.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So I would just stick with walking, you
Gotcha.
know, to and from work,
Yeah.
and
And then when you got
yeah.
off another like 40 pounds, you actually found it totally different for you with the exercise.
Oh gosh, yeah. It's just
Cool.
like, I don't have an elevator in my building and going up and down the stairs before I was like breathing, you know, heavy, just had to take a break and just like,
Yeah.
oh, need to catch up.
Yeah.
Now it's like I can sprint up and down the stairs,
Cool.
you know, the weight when it comes off, you can definitely feel it. And it definitely affects everything. And I sleep so much better.
Yeah.
That's another thing. I would have like crazy insomnia when I was
Oh.
overweight,
Oh,
and
interesting.
now I like sleep like a baby. Like I go to bed
Wow.
like about 11,
Yeah.
12. You know,
Wow.
I get cranky, as my friends say. They're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, she's getting
Like it's
cranky."
bedtime.
To go to it's bedtime for her. But that's another thing that's definitely affected
Cool.
my sleeping. I would stay up all night when I was
Wow.
heavy. Yeah, and I
Wow.
would never get any sleep.
No wonder
And then
you were
after,
tired.
yeah, and then
Oh,
after that, I would just sleep like you get like full 8 hours of sleep. Before that, I never knew what 8 hours was.
yeah. Oh my goodness. That's a
Mhm,
big change. That's huge. That'll like
mhm,
be so good for your health, like, long term
mhm.
too. Huh.
Yeah.
That's good. Um, oh, I think it's covered a lot of stuff. I think that's almost
Mm,
everything. Oh, let's also talk real quick about Pinterest because you are a Pinterest aficionado and you've pinned a lot of healthy phase 3 type recipes, right?
yeah.
So can
And
you tell
even
us what,
before,
oh yeah, NP4, tell us what your Pinterest account is. Yeah, the name,
Pinterest / V Wisteria
V
.com.
Wisteria,
Yeah, the Wisteria, and then you just go to my cuisine board.
cuisine
And
board.
yeah,
Okay,
and I'm just constantly pinning up recipes.
awesome.
Um, like there's P3 recipes in there, but there's just a lot of for life recipes.
Gotcha.
You know,
Good.
um, breakfast, lunch, dinners, even desserts, snacks on the go. Like
Yeah.
there's just so many easy recipes that you could make and you'll feel good about yourself
Yeah.
about making it.
Cool.
Um, yeah,
That's
even
good.
the pizza recipe that
Yeah.
you're gonna make.
Yeah. I'll put a link to her Pinterest account so you could in the show notes so you could just click it and find her and follow her and her cuisine board. So yeah, because I think that's true. It's like when you're making a life change, it's like you have to like make it interesting or rewarding in some way. And it is true. Looking at like beautiful pictures of like healthy recipes is pretty motivating. So
It is.
That's cool. That's
totally.
good. Well, great. Well, do you have any last like parting advice for anyone who's like starting the diet or who has struggled with it? What would you say is like the most important things maybe to remember?
Um, it definitely works. You just have to stick to it. Um, cheating, definitely not worth it. Just stick to the diet. Yeah, what else?
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah, that I mean, pretty much that's it. You know, it's going to be rough in the beginning, but
Yeah.
it's like smooth sailing after that.
Was there any things that you did when it was rough that helped you to cope, like any online resources or things that you did to distract yourself? Was there anything like that?
Oh, I would go onto the diet forums, the
Yeah.
HCG diet forums, and I would go read the success stories.
Cool.
That was a big motivator for me. I would love like like reading stories about people losing
Yeah.
their weight, and it feels good, you know, because
Hmm.
you're just like, yeah, hopefully one day I can put.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started, I was like, oh, I hope one day I can put my
Hmm.
story up on the board, and it's
Yeah.
like my story is up
Yeah.
on the board. People are
Yeah.
like,
That's
whoa, you know.
awesome.
And
Yeah.
I like to like update it occasionally, like, hey, yeah, I'm still here, and yeah, I've like completely kept it off. I'm still good to
That's
this day,
so
you
awesome.
know. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
and
it
you can
feels
tell
really
that you're
good.
confident, like you don't worry about gaining it back. Like you know, like I have this under control. I know what to do to keep it
Hmm.
that way. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and I think it's just, you know, little things of exercising or exercise before. I'm like, oh my gosh, exercise totally makes like huge difference, you know, with the
Yeah,
calorie burning, you know, toning, feeling stronger.
right,
And you know, you're just not sitting home all day eating.
right.
You're just like, oh, am I gaining weight? Oh, because you're sitting home all day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like you know, I'm happy when I go when it's exercise day. My friends say they're
Yeah.
like, oh, there she goes, like totally happy. So,
That's good.
you know,
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel the same way. I love my CrossFit exercise. It does. It keeps me going, keeps me motivated, and keeps life not being all about food, you know? So, because I
hmm
think that's what can happen sometimes is you start living for food and, you know, when you have a lot of other things in your life that you like to do that keep you busy, then it helps shift that focus, I think,
exactly,
you know?
especially living in San Francisco, which is like crazy food city. You
Yeah, with
know,
so many good restaurants.
you know, I live like where I live. Gosh, there's like so much food. There's like Greek, Italian, just everything, and
Yeah,
it's just like I have other things to do. I need to just add hobbies into my life, and I
yeah,
keep busy. And it's like by the time it's the end of the day, it's dinner time. I just want to go home, make something that I know is going to taste good,
yeah.
and I'm happy for the rest of the day. You know,
Cool. That's good.
occasionally I'll eat out, and that's okay, and I'll make
Yeah,
healthy choices. But
yeah.
I don't know. I have that acquired taste for home cooking
Cool.
now. I
Yeah.
love my home cooking. So,
I'm the same way actually. You know, there's so many times now that there, except for this one Thai restaurant that I absolutely love, but so many times when we go to a restaurant, I'm like disappointed, like because it just doesn't taste that good, and I'm like,
exactly.
my food would have tasted better,
Tastes
like, and I just spent
exactly.
$50, like it's like for something that doesn't
That is
taste as good.
exactly what it is. It's just like I don't know what you know. Let's try this place. I'm like I don't
You
know.
end up
You know.
wasting money and calories in your
I'm like
meal.
I know. I'm like I could just go home and make something better for myself.
Yeah.
I know I'll be happy.
Yeah, that I know I exactly that I know I'll feel so yeah, be really good.
Yeah, I do that sometimes. I'll say, like my friends will want to go out, and I'm like, no, I'll just go home,
Yeah.
and I'll think like, I don't know where you know this place that we're eating. I don't know how many calories is in this, and
Yeah.
I'm like thinking, oh, but if I go home, I can make this, and then I could add this to this, and I
Yeah.
could, you know, and
Cool.
I just make concoctions like in my
That's
head. I'm
fun.
like, oh yeah, I'd rather go home, guys. I'm gonna go like eat.
Awesome.
Yeah,
You should be
so
like a chef. Sounds like you should be a chef now.
I know I should be like
That's
some type
fun.
of chef, but
That's cool.
okay,
Well,
yeah,
thank you so much for being with me today, Elke. I think we
no
had some
problem.
really good takeaways for everyone to hear and yeah, and I hope it keeps going good for you too, you know, with your continued
Definitely.
getting more fit and you know, see where you end up and yeah, that's awesome.
Preparing for summer right now. The
Cool.
countdown for summer is on. So,
Great.
yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Let me see here. Oh, I had something in my brain and I just lost it. Oh, maybe it'll come back to me later. Sometimes I think of a question while you're talking and then I forget it.